That's right. This is Miss B, Positive Miss B, on a Wednesday at 7 p.m. East Coast time with her butter, her pal, her eye candy, Chris Allen, Issues
How
of
you
Men.
doing?
Hey, Chris.
Thank you, thank you. Welcome, welcome. How you doing this evening?
I'm excited to be with you every week. As always, your topics are so interesting, motivating, and exciting. And if this is your first time joining us, that is Chris Allen, author, model, mentor, poet. I mean, he's just got a lot going on, and he's allowed me to um, share his message on Storm Talk 365 once a week, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. East Coast time. I am Miss B, Positively Miss B, the CEO of Storm Talk 365 Radio, faith-based podcast network, where we talk to storms in your life. I'm also the CEO of Storm Radio 24/7, where we talk about arts, business, entertainment, and more. But tonight, issues of men. Man, we're going to tackle a little something.
Tackle.
That's right. You've been with us for a minute, and this may be the first time they've seen you. Would you introduce yourself to the listeners and viewers, please?
And again, my name is Christopher Allen. I'm an author. I'm a mentor. I own a publishing company, Central Publishing. Um, Also produce the platform, The Issues of Men. And the issues of men per se, and it's just really going into topics that men experience, things that we go through, and we don't necessarily admit or talk about them openly. And so this is what this platform is for, but it's also for the ladies to also be able to come in and also listen and provide some feedback and their experience as well. Because not only do we learn from your experiences, you also learn from our experiences in a man's perspective when going through different issues. So again, welcome. Thank you for tuning in.
Absolutely. Let me tell you, some of the topics that we've covered, I was like, whoa, I got all into it. But if you're interested in any of the archive videos, you can find them on Storm Radio 24/7's fan page. I'm currently working on the podcast network, but eventually all of them will be uploaded as a podcast. And some of those are already on iHeart, iTunes, Spotify, and more. You can find them on his YouTube channel, as well as his Issues of Men group page. So he's all over, but the videos are available 24 hours a day and for download. So if nowhere else, you can always find them on Storm Talk 365 Radio's fan page. So Chris, tonight, oh my goodness, OMG. You know, with COVID and all the other things going on, a lot of men are just not able to handle what you're going to talk about tonight. And unfortunately, a lot of women don't care. And I like the topic because I just want to know, is it a form of manipulation when the women or the person who's supposed to receive the child support? Because it's not always just men paying. Some women are paying. But there's some interesting questions that you have regarding this subject. So just talk about what made you choose this subject. Well, matter of fact, what is the subject and what made you choose it tonight?
Now, tonight's topic of conversation, ladies and gentlemen, is child support. Is it a punishment or is it a necessity? I use those two extremes of the words just to express um, many people who are under the child support order feel that it's a punishment for maybe whatever may have happened in the relationship. Maybe it's a bad breakup, a cheat, whatever happened. They felt like it was a punishment. It wasn't unnecessary. It wasn't necessary. It was very unnecessary to do. We could have handled that outside of court. We could have done some mediation. We could have wrote up a contract between ourselves. And a lot of times, and the reality of it, fellas, and those who are ladies, those who are paying child support, the fact of the matter is that no matter if we deem it to be unnecessary and things of that nature, oh, I don't want to be in the system. I don't want them knowing my business. Well, it's the whole point of the matter is when you have a child by somebody, whether it was planned or it was irresponsibly brought, a child was irresponsibly brought into this world, anything goes. Anything goes. And sometimes it is necessary because we say that we're going to do specific things. We say we're going to get X, Y, and Z for the child, and we're going to do this, not the third. But we just seem to find different ways and avenues to spend the money except for where it's supposed to go. So, with that being said, Um, and again, I said a little bit earlier, I stated a few seconds ago that, most men in the culture, um, it's considered a punishment. And just in my opinion, and the reason why I just say irresponsibility on the part of having children that you're not ready for is that whatever you decide to do, whether the mother or the father decides to go ahead and carry to court, go through mediation, put you on child support, whatever that is, you're going to be subject to this for either through high school or the completion of college. This could actually be a 18 to 22-year financial bid, a financial sentence for you. So you just can't go out here, um, just having casual, irresponsible sex, or you get to a relationship, find out you don't like somebody, you get them pregnant, things of that nature, or you have children, things don't work out. This has to be done responsibly, just for the fact that, again, it could be an 18 to 22-year sentence on your financial progression and growth, period. Now, um, I want y'all to understand this. So the ones who are the recipients of child support per se, right? Don't think because they got a great job, they're making more money, right? Um, and things of that nature. Don't think things are going to change. Don't think they're just going to go to the court and dismiss it or get it lowered or anything like that. Whatever the court deem that you need to pay, you need to pay it. But there's also points later on that you can go back to negotiate at certain points in time, and we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about that. Ms. B, how do you feel about viewers? How do you all feel about, let's say, if your child's father or the mother who's paying you child support, and child support is not necessarily deemed for men. Like if men got child support from a female, from both aspects, male and female, in the culture, it's not deemed as positive. It's not deemed very well in the public view. But if let's say if you had if let's say if your children's father um, was paying you child support, and he let's say if you got a nice job, you went from something and you got bumped up really high or really big. Now, would you share the responsibility? I mean, would you break down the responsibility or reduce his support order, or how would you deal with that? Or you be like, it needs to stay the same, irregardless.
Well, first, I have experienced that child support saga drama. I really have. And that situation did come up. I'm a nurse by profession, and at the time he was a practicing social worker, and our salaries were pretty much comparable, I guess. But in the midst of him changing jobs, his salary was adjusted, and I was making more. And in answer to your question, no. Whatever the court deems your responsibility is based on your income, that's your responsibility. And it should not be adjusted whether I make more or less, because it's not about what I make. It's about your responsibility to make sure the welfare of the children are taken care of based on your resources, yours, not mine. Now, not to get into a whole lot of other things, but as far as resources is concerned, I strongly stand by my beliefs. It is not about what the other person is or is not making. And if it is decreased or increased, you are still a parent and have your percentage of the financial responsibility. Of course, we can get into whether it's being misused. That's not the question. But the answer at this point is, if you make more money than the person that's paying you, their responsibilities should not be decreased. But if you make less money than the person who is paying you, It's up to the courts to decide if it should be adjusted, not the person receiving the money. Well, I got laid off. You need to pay me more money. Well, that's not their fault. Their responsibility is what is the court's recommendation for them to pay. And that's where a lot of people have a lot of problems with. I got laid off, or, I moved and my rent went up and you need to pay me more money. There's a whole lot of reasons why, but I really think the court should be involved and let them decide what should or should not be done.
And two things, Miss B. I definitely agree with what you said in regards to the court system. Fellas, ladies, those who are on child support, if you lose a job or something happens, um, again, it's your responsibility to petition the court and let them know what your financial situation is, and get your documentation together, put the information together, and submit that. If you don't do it, it's not going to go away voluntarily or just because it happened to you. That's something that you have to submit to the court and let them decide on how they're going to handle it. What you're deemed to do, and most likely, you know, um, honestly, it's probably not going to change at all, if not by little. So your responsibility is your responsibility, as I stated a little bit earlier, and as Ms. B stated, it's your responsibility. So that means if you have to go out and get a new job, you hustle, get a second job, that's what you're going to have to do. Now, um, one of the things I wanted to speak about too is that child support, for instance, no matter if you have a mediation agreement, and this is why I said we have to be more responsible on how and when we bring children into this world. Okay,
Hmm.
it reduces the amount of income. Um, and let's say if you are a responsible man, a responsible person, right? The amount that you're able to save and invest, you know, for future, for retiring, for savings, for college for that kid, or just whatever it may be, those aspects are definitely going to be reduced. So you're going to find out something, if that's their path and that's what you want to do, you're going to find out supplemental income to also back that up. Number two is that if you have a business or you own a business and you're paying yourself, again, that's going to reduce the um, amount of money that you actually have coming in that you're paying yourself, and it also can affect maybe the amount of money that you have that's going into your business. Whether it's just starting or whether you're striving or this, not a third. So you definitely have to consider that. Um, if you do not pay your child support order, those who require licensing, those who need their driver's license and things of that nature. I know some things have changed recently, but based on my experience in the past, your operating license for whatever that you have can be suspended. Your driver's license can be suspended. You can't do too many things in this world right now without a driver's license, a proper ID, what's considered proper ID. So you definitely need to have these things in check. And I think one of the things that even with COVID and before COVID, um, it's a high possibility whether you're being vindictive or whether you just don't have the means to pay it. And you'll actually be picked up and serve jail time for your child support. So now you have child support, and you're gonna have some type of restitution or some type of fine or something that you want to pay to get out of jail. So, if you don't believe it's real, don't pay your child support and see what happens. And I know that there's been some changes recently in this world, just in regards to that in different states, is different things. But definitely that's an issue. Um, and I think that's the worst thing about it is when you talk about the child support aspect. If the child meant anything the child meant anything to the father or the mother paying child support, they would do what they can to pay what they can. At least they see a record of what you're doing, whether you can pay it or not. They say, okay, I see that you're paying consistently this amount. Um, you talk to the judge or the mediator, but when your time comes to go before the court, just express to them and talk to them. Because again, a lot of times what does happen is that no matter what your bills are, no matter what you got going on in your life, a lot of times they don't care because, again, that's your responsibility. But I'm more on the aspect of being able to, and, a, and I'm going to talk about a little bit more about this a little later in the program. Um, some of the reasons why I actually went to the courts with, when my marriage was dissolved and things of that nature, why I went to the court and put the child support order in for myself. And I'm going to get into that and tell you why. Um, but again, um, it just reduces the amount of money that you have to take care of yourself. And especially for most men, I'm going to say it like that. Again, it reduces your ability to maintain a household or have a place to stay. Absolutely. Um, it's just what it is. So, you want to go out here and bounce from lady to lady and talk that woo, 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 and you got 20 kids. Well, you're going to be broke. You're not going to have no retirement. You're not going to have no savings. You're not going to have anything pliable for yourself at the end of the day. That's just what it is. The courts don't care about your child support order, don't care about your child's mother, what be paying child support to, don't care about your car payments, your car breakdown, your maintenance on your payments. They don't care about your gas. They don't care about car insurance, your ability to eat. You got food, you got clothing, um, you know, your personal hygiene items and all like that. Family, all that stuff is going out the window when, child support or you have children irresponsibly or whether it's planned and things that work out. You're subject to all these things, and that's just the way it is. Um, and the reason why I think most men say that this is it's a punishment, as opposed to being a necessity. I mentioned a little bit earlier, just talking about how, we always say that we're going to do what we're going to do. And just as an example, you say, oh, you get in a relationship with somebody, it was like, oh, I'm not going to get into a relationship with you because I'm fearful that you're going to hurt me. Oh, I'm not going to hurt you, baby. I'm not going to hurt you. I would never do anything to hurt you. And well, that's a promise that you can't keep because whether it's verbal, whether the situation is intended, whether you planned it, whether you didn't plan it, there's no way that you cannot hurt anybody, whether it's through conversation, an argument. You didn't approve of something. You didn't approve of a dress. You didn't approve of um, something that's going on. There's not ever going to be a time in your relationship that your feelings have been hurt or something's not going to go right or go wrong. You're going to hurt. You're going to hurt somebody at some point in the relationship. It's just what it is. So um, throw that out the window, fellas. But again, one of the reasons I would just say that a few reasons before we go to a commercial break is this is going to reduce your miscellaneous money. Y'all hanging out with your boys and, you smoking your vice or drinking your vice. Um, y'all out there tricking, um, dating or trying to impress the next chick, right? None of those. Yeah. Oh, that's going to be reduced, son. Son, that's going to be reduced. So that player, that ain't going to happen. And if it does, oh, you're going to be faking the phone. You're going to be faking the phone. And if you're smart, which most of us are not, I'm just saying, most of us are not, child support is also a deterrent. It's also a reminder of how irresponsible we can be. Having unprotected sex, doing whatever, you and your feelings, you're going out here, you finding somebody to do whatever with. It's a deterrent it's a reminder of why you shouldn't be. It's a consequence behind having more children than what you can have, what you can earn, or actually provide for. Now, the next thing before we actually go to break, um, fellas, and even some of the ladies, we love what we love. You know, you love your little shoes and you love your sneakers, your high profile clothes, and all those different type of things. You like indulging in your electronics, your toys, your video games, and all those type of things like that. Listen, if somebody else ain't gonna buy them for you, you definitely not gonna have them. You be playing the same thing over and over and over again. And you might have to even sell that to make sure your child support is on time or whatever that is. So um, when we come back from commercial break, we're going to talk about the effects of having your parents, your guardians, or whoever else to maintain if you're not in a position to take care of your child support order. Coming up next. Woo!
Wow. Thank you, Brenda. I appreciate you stopping by. Brenda Coles is the uh, president of the Richmond chapter of the National Action Network. She's got a lot of things going on. Join her this Sunday, the first Sunday of every month at 1 p.m. East Coast time on the Storm Talk 365 radio fan page. She has interesting guests every month. I'm excited. We also have a special sponsor of each one of her shows. Uh, Tune in to find out who that is. And if you would like to sponsor her show or this show, please email me at stormtalk365radio.com. All right, Brenda, thank you so much. I really appreciate you dropping
Absolutely.
in. Um, yeah, he says, yeah, absolutely. So we're going to take a short break. I'll be right back. But Chris, I'm loving this topic, okay? Mm-mm. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for stopping by. You're joining Chris Allen and myself, Miss B, right here on Storm Talk 365 Radio's fan page. We're talking about child support. What's up with that child support? I mean, we've covered a lot in the last 20 minutes, but it's a very interesting topic. But what you just saw was a short clip. Yes, I did an infomercial for me. As I move into my 6th year in podcasting and hosting, I'm now on Preach the Word Worldwide Network, where I come on every Friday morning at 9 a.m. I'm also on Roku, Fire, Direct TV, Apple TV, 9 a.m. East Coast time, every Friday morning at 9 a.m. And the basis of my show is if it's true, how's it working for you? I simply use scriptures and discuss them and ask you if it's true, how's it working for you? So many of you say you believe in scriptures, but how's it working for you? Are you really applying it? Do you live like you believe what you believe? What's going on with that? So that's what my show is about on Friday mornings at 9 a.m. But tonight we're with Chris Allen. Chris, before we move on, I've invited you before, but let's talk a little bit about your infomercial. Let's talk about your clothing line, or they call it the merch. Let's talk about your merch.
Yeah, I was like, I have some merch for this platform, The Issues of Men. If you go to www.authorchrisallen.com, I do have t-shirts for sale with the Issues of Men crest. And again, I'm going to put out a contest soon in regards to that. That crest means the world to me because it's a combination of things that really tackles the issues of men and the things that we actually go through. And so I'm going to put out a contest in regards to that. If you could tell me what each of those emblems are and what it means on the crest, subscribe to this page. Oh my God, I just went blank. Um, if you go ahead and subscribe or join the Storm Talk Radio 365.com or podcast. In addition to that, to join my YouTube page and subscribe as well. Join our group on Facebook. You'll definitely be in a position to win one of those T-shirts. And so, with that being said, Again, www.authorchrisallen.com. And you'll also be able to see some of the other things I have into my notary service, my publishing company, and you'll also be able to check out the books that I've written and up and coming books that I have in the works right now. So, that being said, we'll get back to this conversation, family.
Yes, indeed. And before we leave, we're going to be dedicating an episode on my show for him to
Mm,
talk about that book, because it's not just a book. It's not just a book. So I'm not going to take away from Issues of Men's episodes, but I'm going to have him on um, the Storm Radio 24/7, the author's corner. So look
mm.
forward to that. So, Chris,
Thank you, Miss B.
I am loving this topic because, to be honest with you, as a former recipient of child support, I had my issues. And as friends of other people, child support is not a cut and dry situation. It is not cut and dry for either the recipient or the one who has to pay. It's not cut and dry for the children. There's a lot of personality issues involved, and yin and yang, and it's just too much, and it's sad. But it's something that I'm glad you brought up, especially now with a lot of people being impacted by lack of employment or limited employment because of the economical situation that is largely in due to COVID, shutting places down and limiting manufacturing. And you mentioned getting a second job. Well, unfortunately, if you get a second job and do not report it to the court, you're in trouble. And if you get a second job
Lawlessness.
and report it to the court, you ain't really getting ahead. So sometimes the more you work really still doesn't help. So I'm going to go back to what he originally said. Jumping in bed and dropping, the fish to eat an egg is not always beneficial. You got to be careful. Sex has its consequences. It's not just, to enjoy for the moment. It could be an
Right.
18 to 21 year, and even longer if the person has disabilities. If the child has disabilities, you still, may be required to maintain health insurance beyond that. So there's a lot of things that comes into play when you decide to have sex with someone. So, all right, Chris, that's my take.
Oh, absolutely. And so the second segment of the show is going to deal with my experience dealing with child support and some of the reasons why I got into doing it, why I decided to go ahead and do it. But first, we're going to talk about um, when we have our teenagers that are irresponsible, right? And we have the men and women in our lives who um, have been irresponsible and the people who have to pay for that. And so, we're going to talk about parents, grandparents, guardians, guardian litem, whoever this is, or maybe even somebody who cares about you who are in this situation, your family members, it could be your friends, anything like that, right? What happens is that one or multiple of these people, even while you may be looking for a job or you may not be in a position to even get a job, um, whereas you take on the hardship of paying um, for that lack of planning and that irresponsibility by the child or the parent. Um, and even when you have an opportunity, let's say if you worked, but something happened, you worked for most of the year, something happened, that child support order is thrown on you um, out of necessity or because your behaviors warranted that I need to put a child support order enforced because you're just not a responsible person. You're not going to do what you say you're going to do. I can't depend on you. It's probably one of the reasons why the relationship didn't work in the first place. So we're talking about you file your taxes, right? Your taxes going to get seized. Um, and those who are in relationships are being married to individuals who owe child support in a Commonwealth state like Virginia, Pennsylvania, things of that nature. Um, that also becomes your spouse's responsibility as well. So not only are you going to hurt and affect your livelihood moving forward because you were not able to handle your responsibility, or you weren't the person you said you were supposed to be when this child came. Now you're going to affect other people in regards to that. Now the grandparents, like whoever, want to keep you out of jail. They're going to take their hard-earned money, maybe their whatever savings they have, whatever they come in with at the end of the month with their Social Security check. And I'm saying this because I want you to feel bad. I want you to feel terrible. I want you to feel that fire so that you be able to get up and do something about it. They have to go ahead and pay this to keep you out of jail, keep you from losing your license. If you have any operating license or anything in that capacity where you need to work, or you might not can work now, but it's going to hinder your ability to move forward in the future. So these people, your irresponsibility is bleeding on these people, and they're going to take care of it one way or the other. Um, Fellas, ladies, wages. Let's say when you get that new job, you get whatever. As soon as they get that ping, or you get that letter, and you need to turn in that information in regards to your child support order, well, your wages are going to be garnished for your child support, or if you owe arrears. So not only are you going to get that regular child support payment, if you owe arrears, that's going to come into play as well. Um, and again, I'm just going back to your parents, your grandparents, or whoever. A lot of times they do this because they feel for you, and they want to keep the peace. They want to be able to see their grandchildren. They want to have the interaction and things like that. And I'm going to get into um, another reason why I got into why I submitted my own child support order. Just, and it was not only responsibility for me, but also for my children. And I'm going to give you the reasons for that. When I first filed child support, Miss B, I was in the state of Delaware, and they used what they call the Melson formula, and it usually goes on like the parents are entitled to sufficient income to meet their basic needs. So the problem is with that, define basic needs. When they say basic needs, you know, um, I'm talking about scraping the barrel. Like, if let's say if you brought home bi-weekly, let's say if you brought home $860 by, so you may have made $1,900 or some change through a whole course of a month. Um, be prepared to try to find a roommate, or be prepared to go into a shelter, or try to find a family member, somebody who's going to give you reduced rent. Because when they say basic necessity and basic income, it doesn't necessarily mean that, because you have a 500, 800, 1,000, $1,200 apartment or home, mortgage, whatever that is, they don't care. For one, they don't care. So basic needs really, you're gonna be scraping. Trust me. Um, and one of the reasons why I say scraping is because the parents um, are not permitted to retain more income than required to meet their basic needs. And again, when you define basic needs, they don't care about your needs or what's basic. It's just what it is. It's what it is, family. If you get any bonuses, um, you win any money, anything that's going on with that job, your children are entitled to share any of that income or benefits that you get or receive from that income. So I don't know if you good, like people sending their money overseas to Switzerland and all these other places and things like that to keep it off the radar or under the table. That's what you better do, because it's going to be gone. So Delaware is not the most productive place, or for anybody who, quote unquote, is in a bad break in a relationship, or you break up in child support order. But I would say this. Now, speaking from my experience, Miss B, um, I went to the Division of Child Support, and these are some of the reasons why I did it, Miss B. And a lot of people was like, "Oh, Chris, you crazy, bro? Why are you doing that, man?" Well, one of the things is, and I'm pretty sure some of the men and women are going through this today. One of the situations was that, I thought it was in my heart, I felt it was the right thing to do. Two, if you allow them to start the process before you, if you allow them to tell their story before you, whether it's true or it's a lie, whoo, brother, sister, you stuck like Chuck. Listen and trust what I'm saying. You're gonna be stuck like Chuck. So I took my due diligence and went there and applied. But not only did I not do this to have something that is where they can keep receipts, they can keep different things. They have a receipt and billing system that they have already set up. I wasn't necessarily good at that. I was still a naive idiot, family. I gave money out of my pocket, what I earned, or just whatever that is. Like, whatever y'all need to do, you can go ahead. Look, I just give them this paper. Give them this paper. And when I talk about paper, I'm talking about this money, this dinero. And they get mad at you for, oh, don't have my kids around this girl or this and that and the third. I don't like her, and I don't want my child around somebody I don't know. And that eliminates all that stuff, okay? By putting this in order, they know exactly how much they're getting. Okay. I don't know how she spends this or whatever. That's not it is my concern. Yes, it is. But I can't control that. But it's better that you pay, keep yourself out of trouble, do what you say you want to do, than the latter. All right. So I also did it because of uh what I mentioned just a few seconds. I kind of slid that in there, but sometimes when people in their feelings, they're gonna drag you through it. You're supposed to get your kids this weekend. You're supposed to spend time with them, or you're supposed to get them during the week. Your children will be used as pawns, family, against you to hurt you, or to manipulate you, or whatever that is that's going on. And it's not fair and it's not right. You know who you're dealing with and the possibilities of what could happen. Be proactive and take that time to go ahead and set this up, or hire an attorney as a mediator so you can get your document notarized. And maybe she can sign off to say, look, I'm going to take care of this and this and this. You take care of that, and vice versa. If you can get her in there to do that. Or, again, you're going to have to go through the court. Because at the end of the day, what's going to end up happening, if she applies first, as she tells her story first, whether it's true or untrue, you're going to be in trouble. Your whole life is going to be changed, period. So I'm just throwing this out there to you all now. Um, Another reason why I understand why most men think, or we just say that the system is not good for us, is the fact that um, we're considered, uh, in general, men as a whole are just considered to be irresponsible. We're bad. We don't care. You're already deadbeat before you were deadbeat. Does that make any sense? You haven't even committed the act. But because somebody's coming here and they applying, you're already considered a deadbeat. Okay. So they're gonna beat you in your head, regardless. And that's why if you can, if the communication is there, try to work this out before you even get to that point. We have to go to the court. But again, I knew my situation. I knew what I was dealing with prior to this, and I knew what was going on currently. So I took the time out to go ahead and just say, look, you know what? I'm going to be better off just going ahead and filing for myself, because um, you look more responsible by doing so. Um, and 9 times out of 10, the mediator, whoever is going to be handling a particular case, is going to be seem like, wow, that's a stand-up guy. You already have them in your corner. But with the latter, that's not what you want to do. Again, because if she get there first, you want to have problems. Um, and it's almost just like, you know, if she gets there first and she gets with somebody who has a similar story, who's a worker or a mediator, ooh, that bleeding, or they're gonna bleed on you, family. Oh, it's like they have it out for you. So um, again, and sometimes you have to go through the process, be in your best version of yourself when you go to mediation or court. Let her act out and be the fool, and the amount that, let's say, if your support order was supposed to be $800 a month, when she goes there and say that's not enough, or she's going there to be vindictive, or she wilding out, they're going to see that. They're going to see who's the mature person, who's here to be, really here to support their children, as opposed to somebody just being there to hurt the other parent or person involved. They're going to see that, and they're going to reduce that. So I'm just saying, whether somebody's telling the truth or not, be sure that you have witnesses or somebody who has known about your situation, whether it's your parent, your grandparent, your best friend, or somebody to go there to be able to tell actual stories and things that are true in regard to this. I don't recommend you going in there and somebody lying on somebody and it's not the third, because again, you have to deal with karma. The energy you put out is which was going to come back later on at some point. You think you're getting away now? It's going to come back to you. One thing for me, I never got a blood test. But one thing I do recommend, family, is get a blood test. You want to listen, get a blood test done. It's no disrespect to the mother. This is just a point that you want to know, the fact that if you don't have this blood test, again, you're going to have that 18 to 22 years sentence over your head. What if that child is not even yours, family, but being put on you? She's lying, or she may have had a relationship prior to even getting with you, or she may be back and forth between individuals. Listen, there's no disrespect to hers, but this is a reference to your livelihood. Be proactive. I don't care what she's saying, all the crying and lying and this and that back and forth, blah, 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 blah. Or if you do that, I'm going to do. Listen, let it go in one ear, out the other. We taking this test. If you don't take the test, that's not my child. I'm not paying anything. So sometimes you have to stand, you have to be a man and do the right thing, not only for yourself, but make sure that this is your child, because there's been circumstances. I know personal situations and circumstances, family, where somebody has been taking care of somebody else's child for the last 18 to 20 some years and never blinked the eye, bat an eye to question it. But the information came out later in the relationship, or even after the relationship has even broken off and moved forward. Most women, per se, will choose the greater guy, the better guy, the guy who's going to be that secure, provide that secure aspect in their lives with a child. They're not going to choose the bad dude. I mean, it's logical. It makes sense. It's wrong, but it makes sense. And, um, these guys are living scot-free. They're out here doing what they want to do. And sometimes not even knowing that they even have a child out there because of this whole circumstantial situation. And it's awful, family. It is awful for you to learn after all this time that this is not your child. So it's going to put you in another situation. Um, you know, am I going to continue to associate myself with this child? Am I going to break it off? Um, there is no law out there right now to criminalize, or for you to even go after for a civil suit, family, for somebody lying for all those many years, and you think you were the father of this child. So all the money, the resources, the time, the effort, the hurt and pain, blood, sweat, and tears that you may have put into these relationships and raising and growing, um, there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. And it's awful. So I'm saying go get that blood test, um, because nobody is going to, quote unquote, just reverse or dismiss it right offhand. Because once you sign, that's it. Once you get married, that's it. That's your responsibility. So a lot of things you have to know prior to actually getting in there and doing that. All right. And not the fact that you're also affecting the livelihood of your spouse, or whoever that is that you're in a relationship um, with arrears and child, arrears and things of that nature of your child. So, you have to be more responsible on that. Um, Another reason why I went into this, and I'm talking about this today, is child support is a punishment or a necessity. You, whether you file, I did this too, because you talk about custody, visitation, right? That's a very important factor. Like your children need you in your life, for one. And if it's done in a positive way, it's going to be great. But you also have to know if you're 50-50, as far as your custody, as far as the parenthood is split, is full, or if you want to relinquish your rights to being a parent to this child. So those are some of the choices that you have. Um, Whether you relinquish your rights still doesn't mean that you're not going to be that child. I'm sorry, y'all. It's just not. So people think they smart and going to get out of doing something. I relinquish my rights, and because if she decides that she wants to go to Europe or Africa, she wants to go to another state. If you relinquish your rights, um, you don't have no say in that. You have 50-50, a full custody, 50-50, you have split custody, joint custody. You have a right to say where your child is going, where your child is not going. But without it, oh, forget it. If you get full custody, you ain't really got no say. So again, you have to fight for your right for your visitation and the custody of your child. It's one of the reasons why I'm bringing this up today. Um, Too many stories, too many things that have happened. Um, just telling y'all. Um, and again, there's still no amount of money that you're paying out that is not going to change with that visitation. It's like your children need your time. They need your love. They need your guidance. Um, it's just what it is. And they need it genuinely. So, whatever your issues are with the other parent, learn to be friends and be cordial. Don't fight and bat and do all that craziness in front of your child, your children. Because if they begin to think that that's normal or that's the way, how do you think they're going to turn out? What do you think they're going to do when they get older? I'm just saying. Um, and another reason I'm just saying, I mentioned a little bit something earlier about when sometimes when people are in their feelings, they're hurt, regardless of how the relationship broke off or just how things are moving, they're going to demand payment. Like, they don't care what your situation is. They're going to go full throttle, get every ounce of they can juice and squeeze out of you if they possibly can. So again, you have to be very mindful. If you have been helping and trying to give support and doing certain things, whatever like that, keep your receipts. Never give nobody cash, bro. Never give nobody cash. Cashier's receipts, money orders. I don't care if you give it through Cash App. You got a record of something that is proving that you've been giving her something up until that order has been enforced. So moving forward, because what they're going to do if you haven't done nothing when she applied, bro, they're going to go back from the time when that child was born to the current. I don't care if it's been 7 years, 8 years, or whatever, 4 years, 20 years. No, not 20, my bad. 15 years. They're going to go back for all that. you're going to be in trouble. So don't ever think that you're going to escape the responsibility, but I would just still say get that support order, family. Um, I wasn't good at doing checks and balances and receipts. Straight up. I just wasn't good at that at all. Years ago, when I was coming up, I wasn't good at that. So that's one of the reasons why I say, okay, your money is going here. They know how to distribute this, and you have a receipt quarterly. You can go on the website, put in your information, or log in on your account and see what's been paid, this and that, and the third. And nobody can't come back to say to you, you ain't been doing this and you ain't been doing that. If it is, you need to contact the child support agency. I know that's crazy. I shouldn't be saying that, right? But I just say, even if you get with an attorney, a paralegal, somebody, a lot can be achieved, even if you have family that you love and you trust, and y'all can sit down and do something amicable outside of going to the child support division, going through the courts. It can be done.
Well,
So what would you say about that, Miss B? I know some people are just, uh, I would say, insatiable. They don't. All they want to see is the pain. They don't care. They just want to see you suffer. It has no bearing on what the child's standards or what you really need for them to live on or live off on, and things of that nature. They're just going ham. They're going full in, and that's not right. But again, that's why I say that it's very important that you are able to find a mediator, find somebody that you be able to talk to, and you can list down and write down the things that you think are reasonable, things that you want, and vice versa, and come to a compromise. Say that's fair. And I think that's something that's going to be in effect. It's like a contract. It's something that's in effect, but again, that's between you and that person. But if you decide, and again, I'm going to say the reason why I went through the courts, and specifically because sometimes people feel like they don't have to follow nothing. And there's a consequence to not allowing a man or woman to see their children. There's a consequence to not be paying this child support on time. There's a consequence behind all of that. And the courts are going to carry that out. Whereas, if you do have this agreement, and although it's supposed to be between me, you, and that person, it doesn't mean that person is going to follow it, because the only consequence that you really have is just between you and that person. So that's another aspect that you have to look at as well. And I just say, if you look at things on a realistic level, because you got to understand too that most times the father is going to have to pay that insurance, or pay what he needs to do, plus the insurance, plus if they need additional sneakers, they're into sports and things of that nature. I feel, because whether you have visitation, whether you have custody, and you have time together, right? I just feel it should be a 50-50 amicable agreement. If that child needs this, it's going to be 50-50. If that child needs sneakers and shoes for this or that and the third, it should be 50-50. That's how it should be handled, because you're two people. You decided to do that and create this bond. You decided to create that child. So it should be 50-50, not 90-10, not 100-0.
excuse me.
You understand what I'm saying? So again, this is why this is important. And some people say child support is a punishment. Some people say it's a necessity. Depending on where you are on the spectrum, as far as your mind frame, as far as your mindset, and how you feel, it can be a punishment. But at the same time, if it's done correctly, if it's done right, it can be good for both parties and your child. A necessity, sometimes, yes. I'm not going to say it's a necessity, but it's a need for it. It needs to be done, because you can't just produce a child and not get away and get out here scot-free. I saw that face, Miss B. What you got going on? What you got going on? Gears turning up there.
What you talking about, Willis? I ain't do nothing except yawn every now and then. Look at here, look at here. It's about 5 minutes left, and I just want to say, um, it's not a necessity, but it's needed. It's needed, but you can't have both. It is a necessity. It is needed. It's a co-responsibility financially, and like you said, some people are even involved in relationships and found out later that after all the emotional involvement, that there was a disconnect in parental rights. So my closing remark is this: regardless of how well y'all get along now, how much the grandma, grandpa, uncle, aunt, everybody kicking in, there's always a possibility for something going south and a disagreement arises, especially, unfortunately, if this parent should die or become incarcerated, then everything goes south and the agreement is like, well, I ain't my child. I don't know what to do. Listen, people, this is 2021. Regardless of the situation or circumstances surrounding the birth of that child, everybody involved is responsible for that. That means the mother and the father. Don't put it upon yourself to assume that you can have an amicable relationship forever and it'll work out. Put it in the court's hand, let it be, do what you got to do and move on. If you were married and not divorced or living in the same home, it would still be the same thing. So just because you're taking out of the equation with a personal relationship does not mean you're not equally responsible for that child. So my take on it is either get your private lawyer and handle it that way or go through the court system, but don't assume relationships are going to solve the issue financially. And like he said, absolving parental rights is just that. You don't have a right, but you still have a responsibility. One, don't get the two confused, but that's pretty much what I have to say. And I apologize, it's rather warm in here, and sometimes when you get warm, you get sleepy, but it wasn't because I was bored. Don't even, oh, Miss B sitting up there yawning through a whole, no, it's warm in here
Oh.
and I don't have any water. But let me tell you something. If he ever brings this back up again and I get an opportunity to share my experience, I will. But right now, I'm telling you, go to the courts. Please go to the courts. Mind your business. Go to the courts. Let it be, because regardless of how well you think you get along, those emotions will play in, and that's why he came up with the topic: is it punishment? No, you had the baby. It ain't punishment. It's a responsibility. You want to look at it as punishment, then that's your problem. And then for the other person who's filing the complaint, if you want to punish somebody, you're really punishing the child, because you're denying them a healthy relationship with both parents based on your emotional instability. So that being said, Chris, what's your closing remarks and what we're going to talk about next week?
Oh my goodness. That, I like that. I like that. The last remark. Um, my final remark again is this: when you come into these circumstances, these situations, try to be as cordial as possible. Um, I'm just saying, even if you can't become cordial, be a parent. Take out all those emotions, those feelings, or whatever that is that you may have in regards to relationship, because it no longer exists the way that you want it. It's no longer going to be an intimate relationship, but it's going to be a co-parenting relationship. So, with that being said, even with co-parenting, you don't have to get along to do the right thing. It makes things easier because your child can feel that energy, people around you can feel that energy, and all around is just better. Like, okay, yeah, we did this, we done this, it didn't work, it's okay. But we have this child of beautiful children, and we need to raise them together, and we need to move on and whatever it is that we need to make sure that they're supported and taken care of. That's the direction that you need to be moving on, not based on the past or what may have happened. Because again, like Miss B said, they're the ones who are going to suffer long range in the end while y'all playing these vindictive games. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just putting this information out there because vindictive games have its karma, and what you put out there will circle around and come back to you at some point in time, which means that it's more money out your pocket, more time out of your life, And again, it's not going to be the best thing. So that's my final thought for this evening. If you do, if you would like to, again, if you would like to support the program, um, go to support by Cash App, $Ascension Services. If you'd like to see the growth and you'd like the program, if you would like to submit a topic for this program, email me at the Issues of Men subject bar. You can go ahead and put what it is and just put a little bit of text about the top of the subject. And that's also if you would like to become or be a guest on the show. And that will be determined. And I will call you or send you an email just to say yay or nay. And we'll move forward from that. Um, and again, with that being said, this is another issue. The Issues of Men will be back next week, 7 p.m. sharp. And we will be talking about vindictive nature of men. And I'm pretty sure that men and women have done the same, being vindictive in nature and the results of it. So we're going to talk about that next week. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. All right, everybody, you heard Issues of Men with Chris Allen. We talked about child support. Is it punishment? I don't know. It depends on it. But anyway, thank you for joining us so much.
Necessity or responsibility.
It's all of it. It's a part. Yeah, whatever. All right, everybody. Join us next week, 7 p.m. East Coast time. I'm liking that he's piggybacking behind that with the vindictive behaviors, because male or female, right behind child support. A lot of people are vindictive when it comes to child support. So that being said, thank you so much for joining me again. Follow him on Issues of Men fan page, Issues of Men YouTube channel, or go to Storm Talk 365 fan page to get all of his archive videos. Thank you so much. You have a blessed night. Bye-bye, everybody.
Good night. Take care.